Hi, everyone. Good evening. I appreciate the brave souls that are still here. Thank you for staying for my presentation. It's an intimate group, and so I think the best thing for me to do is maybe share some intimate stories with you. My topic is women in the law, women on the rise. And so why don't I just lead with this. Are there any lawyers in the room? If so, oh, there's a few. Okay, so I'll just put it out there. I'm going to make fun of lawyers, but I think that's okay. I am honored to be a public servant. It is my true privilege to be the United States Attorney in San Diego. I've served in that role for 3 years, and what I thought I might do is talk a little bit about what I do every day, because what it is protecting you, your safety, and your security, and I think you should know about what the good people in my office do. And I also thought it might be helpful for some of you to share some stories from my career in the Justice Department over the past 19 years. It's been a wonderful, wonderful time. Lifetime experiences that I've had, people I've met, things I've got to do. And I think from those stories, there's a few life lessons I've already lived and learned. I don't think I'm anywhere far from done with my career. There's a lot more ahead of me, and good days are ahead. But there are some things that I think are good takeaways that I wanted to share with you. So let's look at our watches. It's 8:25, and we're here in Poway. I can tell you right now, back at my office at the U.S. Attorney's Office, there are prosecutors at work. And they're working on cases for trials tomorrow. They're working with agents. The lights are on if you're in the federal building right now. You'll see them if you drive by. And I don't know that the public really appreciates that they realize that every day the freedom that you enjoy is being protected by others. There are people in this community who every day quietly serve you, and you don't realize that. So the lights are on the federal building. If you were to go by the FBI right now, there'd be squads of agents there. They'd be handling surveillance. They'd be working on surreptitious wires that are court-approved. Down at the port of entry, there are 26 lanes, and they're all open, and there are inspectors, and they're going through every car, making sure that you're safe. If you go to the Coast Guard, right now, there's boats patrolling, keeping you safe. At the airport, TSA, they're working too. So we're here, and we're among friends, but they're working, and they're working through the night. It's a 24/7 operation, and I'm proud to lead that operation as U.S. Attorney. So what does the U.S. Attorney do? And I'll just put it out there. A lot of people don't know what it is. When I became U.S. Attorney, I told my family, and I think I'll start with introducing them. My mom is here. Pat Peckham, raise your hand. She's terrific. My husband is here, Andrew Hewitt. And our dear friend Peggy Fisher is here too. Welcome, Peggy. So I was so excited to be selected to be U.S. Attorney, and I called and talked to my family, and my niece said, "Aunt Karen, you're going to be the best district attorney ever." I said, "Well, honey, I'm actually going to be the United States Attorney. It's a little different." And what we do as U.S. Attorney is there are 94 judicial districts around the country. There are 93 U.S. attorneys. There's one U.S. attorney who's in charge of the Northern Marianas Islands and Guam. But basically, around the country, we serve as a field office of the main Justice Department in Washington, D.C. You heard Casey Gwynn talk about Eric Holder. He's my boss. I report to him. So there are 4 U.S. attorneys in California, San Diego, LA, San Francisco, and Sacramento. We all know each other well. We work together well to protect everyone in California. So it's a big job because I'm in charge of both San Diego County and Imperial County. I work very closely with Bonnie DeManis because we have federal prosecutions and we have state prosecutions, and sometimes our jurisdiction overlaps. So it's really important that we work closely together, and I can tell you that she has become a close friend of mine, and I am so respecting of what she does every day. So it's really nice to stand before you as a woman U.S. attorney who serves with a woman district attorney to protect this community. So there are 4 U.S. attorneys in California. All across the country, there are other U.S. attorneys who lead their respective districts. What do? Well, we enforce all federal laws. And if you can imagine in a law library or on your computer how many laws there are out there, there are an infinite number of federal laws. And I'm tasked with prosecuting and charging all of those federal laws. We also protect all of the United States civil interests, so we're a civil law firm too. So I have 19 attorneys who do nothing but civil cases. So if the Navy gets sued, or Balboa Naval Medical Center here in San Diego has issues, environmental issues, we do all that work too. So prosecute all criminal laws, I handle all civil matters too, and we also collect debts on behalf of the United States that people don't know. So it's a huge job, and it's one that I enjoy each and every day. I can tell you without question, there are no bad days. Even the bad days are great days, because I work shoulder to shoulder with people who care about this country, who love what they do, and who really give public service a great name. What I see every day are people who are happy to come to work. They come early, they stay late, and they bring terrific cases. And in the past year alone, we've done some amazing things. I've been U.S. Attorney for just over 3 years, and I'm really proud of what our prosecutors have achieved. This past year, we prosecuted an individual who threatened President Obama's life. He was convicted of the felony of that crime. We have prosecuted defense contractors who took bribes at Spay War. We have prosecuted drug traffickers who have trafficked in ton quantities of cocaine. And these are drugs that would hit the streets of America. So remarkable cases all along the way. We have prosecuted cyber threats, national security cases, everything you can imagine. So every kind of federal jurisdiction we handle, and it is an impressive group, and they do great work. So that's where I stand today, but I didn't always have this job. I obviously started somewhere, and that's one of the things in terms of talking about my journey and where women are. I can tell you that I've been a lawyer for 21 years now, and I'm proud to say that a lot has changed for women in the law in that time. One of the best things about public service is there really is no gender issue when you're a woman leader in the public service environment. It doesn't really come into the equation. So when people talk to me about challenges that women have as lawyers in the private sector or claims of discrimination or unfair treatment, I can tell you from my perspective as a leader, I haven't seen it because my career has been spent in public service. And for those of you who are interested in that kind of an environment where you really have equality, I really encourage you to pursue public service because it is a place where women are valued for what they bring to the table, plain and simple. I routinely lead meetings of 30 law enforcement officers from around this country, around the county, and I'll be the only woman in the room. And I can tell you that I think I'm the only one who even notices it. They don't seem to notice, and we're doing our business. So it really is a place where gender doesn't matter because what matters is what you know and how you do it. Public service, as you can tell, I really believe is a sacred trust, and it's something that I think we don't do enough to support. I can tell you when I leave work every day, there's not a line of people outside the federal building saying, thank you for your service to America. That's not really how it works. But having said that, those times when you hear about, criticism of public servants or criticism of how law enforcement has done its job, I asked you tonight when you go back home and when you hear that in the future to just stop yourself for a moment and give us the benefit of the doubt. Because now it's 8:30 and they're still there at my office and they're still working hard. And they'll be there for hours to come. So I'm really here kind of to let you know about the great work that they do. And as you can tell, I'm very, very proud of it. So it didn't start here. It started back in 1992 when I became an attorney for the Justice Department in Washington, D.C. And it's hard not to fall in love with public service when quite literally my first week on the job, I was going to say first day, but it was probably the second day on the job. And my first week on the job, my new boss called me into his office in Washington, D.C., and he said, Karen, we have this case, and it's sort of a problem. It's a complex medical case. It's been going on for a number of years. The attorney who was handling it has left the Justice Department and moved on, and what we'd like you to do is take it over, go through the banker's boxes, figure out what it is, see what legal arguments we can make. We think that the United States has a meritorious position, but we'd like you to pursue it. So I took all the banker's boxes into my office, and I was a young 20-something attorney, and I started going through it. And I saw some legal arguments, and I started to pursue it. All the while I was working on other cases, I filed motions in the case. Eventually we had a rehearing in the Court of Appeals, and after about 3 years of litigation, we finally got that case to the Supreme Court. So this was one of the very first cases I handled as a Justice Department attorney, and it went to the United States Supreme Court. When I heard the news that the Supreme Court had granted certiorari on my case, I couldn't believe it. Because the way the Justice Department works is the Solicitor General's office argues those cases. So I was in a different litigating component, and I felt like I wasn't going to have a chance to actually argue the case, but even just to be at counsel table that day would be a pretty remarkable thing for me at that point in my career. So I worked hard on the case, and I asked if I could sit at counsel table, and they said, sure. So now here I was, just a few years into the department, sitting at counsel table with all the Supreme Court justices. And one of the things that I think is interesting is I got to the Supreme Court, sat there so excited for the argument, and had prepared. The attorney was actually arguing the case and was part of the team. And I sat down, and at the Supreme Court, there's a little map of the names of all the justices, the 9 justices, in case you don't know who they are. And I remember holding up the map and saying, "Are you kidding me? I mean, how can you not know who they are? I mean, you've worked this hard to get here."